I'm Skaya and welcome to Face to Face, our weekly summary of top events, but from a Central European perspective. My guest today in studio is TVP World Editor-in-Chief, Mr. Michał Broniatowski. Michał, hello. Glad to have you here for another episode of Face to Face. Michał, so Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy is in Warsaw. And he's here for his first bilateral visit with Polish President Karol Nawrocki, who made it clear at their press conference that reportedly Ukraine is not grateful enough to Poland. How do you take this?
He's not, when he says such words, he's not speaking to Mr. Zelenskyy, but to his voters, to Polish people. I find it a bit disgusting using such an occasion to play the domestic games. Ukraine doesn't have to be grateful to Poland. We have to be grateful to ourselves that we are helping them to save us from
Russian threat.
Exactly. They are, they are bleeding in order for us not to bleed. So saying things like that is not proper for the person at this level for the president.
Michał, why did it take Polish president some 4 months to invite President Zelenskyy to Poland?
I don't know why. It's the problem of Mr. Nawrocki. According to protocol, it's a new president that is visiting his counterparts in other countries. As it happened in all other Polish neighbors, other countries, he managed to be everywhere, even to visit the Pope, but he didn't bother to visit our most important neighbor now.
Why?
Again, for domestic reasons, because he didn't want to show that he is somehow subordinate to Ukrainians who are ungrateful.
Michał, another thing that came out at this meeting was that Nawrocki said it's good news for the region, but this is bad news for Moscow. I mean, in this sense, Moscow, you have to agree that Moscow isn't too happy about the fact that Nawrocki and Zelenskyy are meeting.
No, of course, it's part of Russian plot to sow discord in Poland, and in fact, well, inadvertently or advertently, Mr. Nawrocki is playing to the Russian tune because Russia wants Polish public opinion and the European public opinion to split from the leaders who are supporting Russia. And he's playing this game constantly, and then one of the example is the fact that he didn't bother to travel to Kiev as every other significant leader in Europe did. He didn't.
So pressure or image, public image. Is this what?
No, this is
more important
showing.
to Karol?
It's showing Polish public. This is the way we treat Ukraine. They have to be grateful to us. I'm not sure.
Isn't it a similar pattern that we're seeing with President Donald Trump? A few months back, when he also had said, "Hey, Mr. Zelenskyy, you need to say thank you," right?
Exactly. And it's it's counterproductive because it changes nothing. It just improves the image of one who speaks that language in front of his voters and supporters, but doesn't help the main thing, the defense of Ukrainians against Russian invasion.
But overall, they did agree that their biggest threat does remain Russia. And Michał, you can't say that we didn't see some kind of unity between Nawrocki and Zelenskyy, right? Do you think that we're going to see a little bit of improved Polish-Ukrainian relations?
Polish-Ukrainian relations are set up by the government, and the government is unequivocally supporting Ukraine. And let's hold to it. Whatever Mr. President wants to show, make pretense of whatever, in real terms, means not too much, with one exception. Is his rhetorics about Ukraine are supporting the trend in Polish public feelings toward towards Ukrainians, and the sympathy which we observed 4 years ago after the war broke are now getting a bit colder. And he is helping this trend, I'm afraid.
What do you think we can expect the biggest, let's say, positive? I want to hear some positive things. Michał, you don't seem to be smiling today as you do per usual. I mean, what's the positive factor that we can
what is positive is that finally they met face to face, that there were no fireworks, that they managed to make a joint press conference, which is very important.
Body language says it all also.
Yes, and at least they are talking to each other. But as I said, it's not the most important thing in the Polish position towards Ukraine, because decisions are taken in a different palace in Warsaw.
Michał, and speaking of decisions, well, Friday morning saw EU leaders agree to provide a loan of 90 billion euros to Ukraine to meet Ukraine's military and economic needs for the next 2 years. I finally see that smile that I see here every single week. Now, this is, I think, a topic that you care to share your opinion on. And this, of course, after the summit where in Brussels, after they rejected the idea of using frozen Russian assets, right?
You know, this it's good that they finally found some solution, which was generally rejected Plan B, this common loan of the EU states. But the most important thing is that they failed to do something jointly, to do something bold, something which had to be done, or should have been done, 3 years ago. They should have decided on frozen Russian assets.
Better late than never?
Well, they didn't do it in the end. They gave up. They got, frightened of some alleged consequences, as if Russia was, tomorrow going to demand this money back. The problem here is that some particular bureaucratic, in fact, considerations won over what Mr. Tusk, Poland's prime minister, just put in one line that, if not money today,
we have that quote there, yeah.
If not money today,
blood tomorrow.
Blood tomorrow, and this is exactly what encapsulates the problem, and it shows that, unluckily, that in dire times, in dire straits, Europe is not able to speak in one voice. European Union is not a union. It is just a group of 24 European countries who agreed to lend money to Ukraine to defend itself during the next year, maybe part of
and we can see that cash coming in soon. Right?
Well,
should be coming in soon.
Once decision has been taken, the money will come, but I'm not sure if it will come from some countries very soon, because you have these decisions probably in many cases may require the agreement of parliament and so on. Well, at least a decision is taken, and the group majority, luckily, of European states want to support Ukraine. Probably there will be more money also from Britain, Norway and Switzerland.
But not all. The nations, not all.
No, it's not union. No, it's separate states. Of course, European Union was not created as a defense union. It was created for free trade and protection of rule of law, free travel, and you name it, but not for defense, because at that time when it was created, nobody was taking into consideration a possibility of another war against Europe. And everybody was thinking, okay, the US will take care of that through NATO, which is not the case anymore, and Europe has to defend itself. And the first really the first exam on this road, which was this bold freezing of frozen Russian
assets.
Bold usage of this Russian frozen assets failed. And this is a sad moment for Europe.
Michał, we've been here week in, week out, and we've been actually waiting to speak about this moment. I remember every week we would say, December 18, the decision would be made. Personally, let me ask you, do you think this was a good decision? I mean, are you happy with the decision that was taken? Do you think it will change something for Ukraine for the better?
Well, it will, because it will provide money to the absolutely indispensable funds for Ukraine to survive. Without this money, the state would collapse. The Ukrainian state would collapse probably sometime in April. So it's good that there is money, that there are still states in Europe who want to do it, but it is not the European Union. The European Union...
Were they scared of Russia then?
They were scared of Russia. They were scared of their domestic public opinion. The argument that the credibility of the Eurozone would suffer is ludicrous. How can you talk about alleged credibility of Eurozone when there is the question of life or death for people who are defending our freedom?
Michał, I want you to take a look at the screen right there. We're seeing Mr. Vladimir Putin. It's daylight robbery. Why can't this robbery be carried out? Because the consequences could be grave for the robbers. Michał.
Well, he's making great quotes. He's a master of great quotes. Of course, this is for him the way to react to this possible usage of his own funds against him. But of course it is not a robbery. It would have been using the money of the aggressor to defend against this aggressor. I cannot find any more just and good reason to use this money for.
Michał, I mean, on the sidelines, of course, Putin also held his annual end of the year presser. Of course, he announced very little, despite, of course, the event stretched on reportedly for more than 4 hours. What do we know about this choreographed event, if this is what I can call it?
Well, we've known it for years. It's a yearly event in which he pretends to be open to the public opinion. He's, of course, answering only staged questions, with the one exception. There was a question for BBC. It's always an occasion for him to say some nasty things, reiterate his position on Europe, on Ukraine, on the war. And this time he didn't disappoint us. He again repeated that so-called root causes of the war or special military operation, as he calls it, have not been removed. And so if he uses this language, it only shows that all these efforts and dances around alleged peace plan, which is being discussed, it's worth nothing. It's just words, and another words, and then an occasion for Mr. Trump to be able to say how a big peacemaker he is and how weak the leaders of Europe are. But we will not see any peace of it. Let's hope we'll see some ceasefire, but I doubt it.
Why do you doubt that? I mean, do you think that we would genuinely, with everything that's happening, not be able to reach
because for Russia, ceasefire means peace first. There's no war in history which was started with the finalized peace plan and only then introduce ceasefire. It's always opposite, and he doesn't want to agree for this order. he wants first a peace plan, but the peace plan is impossible because his demands are impossible. And also the answer from Zelenskyy is impossible for Putin to accept. So we will not see any peace plan, and because of Mr. Putin, if there is no peace plan, and there won't be any.
So there's no end in sight, you're saying, Michał?
Yes. The only way to end this conflict is to defeat Russia. Otherwise, it will.
Are we nearing that? Is our region nearing that? Is Europe?
We've been nearing defeat of Russia for the last 3 years. People are saying, well, Russia is on their knees economically, militarily. Didn't materialize. Russia is supported by China and North Korea and Iraq and getting from them resources. In addition, India is buying their oil. They have resources to fight, but we will see who will first will have to give up because it won't be strong enough to continue the war, whether it is going to be Russia or Ukraine, who has also limited resources. And luckily, Ukraine for the next year at least will be supported by Europe, because otherwise it would have been defeated a long time ago.
I just want to shift gear for the final 2 minutes that we have on this episode. Michał, the protests in Brussels that are taking place, farmers clashing with police that took place on Thursday, right, against the EU Mercosur trade deal. Where do we stand right now with this?
We don't know where we stand. We are probably falling. Europe, the European Union, because this treaty with 4 major South American countries with the European Union on creation of the free market, free trade zone, have taken so far 26 years, more than a quarter of century. And there was a big hope on the part of Mrs. von der Leyen to get a sign-off from EU leaders for this treaty to be signed finally with the South American countries. And again, it was delayed over concerns from Italy this time that there is not enough guarantees for Italian farmers. The French president immediately jumped on it because he doesn't want to offend his farmers. And
it's one vicious circle.
Even though the treaty, which is allegedly on the free market, was limiting possible imports of mainly Argentinian meat to 1% of the market, they still didn't make it, and I think and delayed it until January. I'm afraid this is the end of this project.
Thank you so much, Michał Broniatowski, Editor-in-Chief of TVP World, for being with me here on Face to Face and for discussing all these pressing topics. And thank you back home for watching Face to Face. We'll see you here on TVP World next time.